Season 5, Episode 3 of Bracket Level and Fit Steelers. I am Sam Fetterman. That is Jonathan Litzman. Jonathan, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Sam. Very, very good. Excited for this show today.
Yeah, it's a big show for us because we're bringing on our first guest of the off season. It's the head coach at UC Riverside, Mike Magpayo. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I am living the dream, as you guys know. I am living my dream, and it's a beautiful day here in Southern California, at Riverside, and I'm excited to do this. I'm a little nervous though, to get Fetterman and Litzkin coming at me like this.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you mentioned living your dream. For the first 10 years out of college, you were coaching high school ball. You were working in real estate. Just like talk about how that kind of how like you realized that wasn't what you wanted to do and how you kind of made the switch to the college game.
Yeah, I think I probably told the story a few times to some people out there listening, but you know what, Brad Stevens, the idea that triggered my imagination was just hearing when he took that team to the Final Four that he had started Eli Lilly Insurance, and I was like, oh, well, maybe I can do it. And I was just a JV high school basketball coach running a real estate company. I was killing it for a while in 03, 04, 05, 06. I was driving a Range Rover with 22-inch rims, had a 92-inch projector that came out of my roof as my TV. But then the real estate bubble burst in 07, 08, and we shrunk. We had 40 employees, and we were down to 9 in 2009. But we were kind of coming back out of it, figured out another way. And so what I was going to do was move to New York to get my master's in real estate because my best friend and I had run this company and survived, and we're like, we got to learn so this doesn't happen to us again. But I wrote letters to all the college coaches in the area, and I got one response, and it was from one Kyle Smith, who ended up meeting me and telling me, oh, I thought you were going to be a graduate at Columbia, and he had just got the job there. I was looking for free help. You can't help us. And I was like, no, please, please, please. I want to volunteer. And I volunteered for a couple months. And long story short, he gave me an opportunity, hired me as director of operations, said I had to give up everything else. And I did. And you can imagine my Filipino parents were thought I was nuts to chase this crazy dream 14 years ago.
Yeah. And when you got on staff at Columbia, that staff was such a talented staff, maybe the best mid-major staff of the last however many years. Just looking back on it with Todd Golden, with you on it, the new Cornell coach, Joe Jakes.
John Jakes, yeah.
Yeah, Joe Jakes is the
John Jakes, yeah. Come on, man, you should know one of your brethren.
I because Joe Jakes is a Red Sox pitcher.
Okay. And Kobe Altman. Altman was
just a terrific staff. Like, talk about how much you learned from those guys on a daily basis.
What was crazy is I was 30 years old and I had been the CEO of a real estate company for 7 years at that point. And all of a sudden I had 4 bosses, Kyle Smith, Carlin Hartman, who's now at Florida with Todd. Kobe Altman was one of them. And I was just as nervous as any young, I have a young direct assistant coach / director of operations. And I always tell him, man, I've sat in your seat and I was just as nervous. And all of a sudden Kyle Smith's like, hey, by the way, we do this like hustle stat analytics program. I need you to build this. And I just had papers and he's like, you got to build this out on Excel. And I think that's part of why he hired me because I had some business background and had some other skills and abilities. And I was like, what the heck is this? We run this like crazy statistics program that he calls hustle stats. And I still run the same program here. It's like 50 different statistics that we track while there's 5-on-5 live play during practice. And so I had the good thing is my business background, I knew how to use resources. And at Columbia, there was no shortage of really, really, really smart people. And so I utilized those resources. I found a analytics guy who ended up working for the Brooklyn Nets for a while in analytics, Scott Saraday, to help me build this crazy thing that Coach Smith wanted me to build that I had no idea what I was doing. But I had some really good tutors, obviously. I think we've all done a really good job, been really successful. Actually, Coach Smith says, he's like, look at everybody else. Kobe's with the Cavs, Todd's with the Florida Gators. You're really underachieving, Magpayo. But we all got to learn from Coach Smith, who is probably one of the smartest men and funniest guys and greatest dudes in college basketball. And then Kobe Altman, he kind of taught me about information, how information is really powerful in this business, and you got to hunt that information. And he had the polish and he had the hustle because he grew up in Brooklyn. And then obviously being around Todd Golden, who was a very, very good coach. And then Kevin Hovde also, who's now Todd Golden's offensive coordinator at University of Florida. So just real fortunate that that's where I came in and I was introduced to college basketball.
Coach, obviously you talked about kind of moving out east and making that big transition. Is there anything you miss about coaching JV high school basketball and working in real estate?
I'll tell you what, I was crazier when I was a JV. When I was a freshman in JV high school basketball coach, I could get away with a lot more, throwing the balls off the backboard. Like I was a little wild, going at refs and whatever. And it was probably because I didn't know what I was doing really, but I knew I loved leading. And really the real estate part, it wasn't so much real estate that I was in love with. It was leading. So that's why, my best friend Gil Manzuri and myself, we were college roommates. He chose to be CFO, and I was super excited to be a CEO because I loved coaching the company and coaching the sales team. A lot of our business was selling real estate and selling mortgages. So I was essentially coaching, and that's really, really what I love to do. So I did miss. I'm blessed now, because when I was going through working my way up through Columbia and Campbell University, University of San Francisco, I wasn't making as much money, and so it was hard. I missed driving that Range Rover with 22-inch rims. That'd be the one thing. And living this, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Entourage or, Boiler Room was our movie. Wolf of Wall Street is your guys' movie, but we were living this life in LA, and I did enjoy that a little bit. But New York City was a great time. It was a great 4 years, especially to be with that staff and to be with Coach Smith.
Yeah, and then you move on, you go to Campbell, and then you come back to California at San Francisco, and then you take the job at UC Riverside with David Patrick, and you've been there for the last now 6
years. Yeah.
6 years. And just like what does UC Riverside as an institution and the city of Riverside, like what was the driving force behind that? And what have you grown to love about that place that's made you stick around?
Well, when Coach Smith, he recruited me back to University of San Francisco, but again, it was for a director of operations position. And I was, an assistant coach for 3 years at Campbell University, and we were doing pretty well. We had Chris Clemens, who had a cup of tea in the NBA, a little 5'9" pocket rocket, amazing player that helped us turn the program around. But he was like, if you come out here eventually, either you'll be an assistant here, or maybe one of our his St. Mary's coaching tree would get a job, and I could be an assistant on the West Coast, where I'm from. And because I had never lived away until I went to New York City. I'd been born, raised, went to UC Santa Barbara, grew up in Southern California. And then David Patrick, after the year at San Francisco, where he won 20 games, went to the CBI finals, lost to North Texas and Grant McCaslin. David Patrick gets the job, one of Coach Smith's mates from St. Mary's, and he wanted to run the same program and system, and so he hired me. It's a basketball town. Like Kawhi Leonard, Darren Collison, all these great players have come out of this area. They love hoops. We got 2 Division I programs here. Our crosstown rival, Cal Baptist, Coach Croy does a really good job. And then UC Riverside. I think the UC system, being a part of the UC system, the best public institution in the country, is a big deal. So we have no shortage of being able to attract people that care about academics. And it's a beautiful growing campus. It's one of the few UCs that's got a lot of space, so it's continuing to grow new buildings. But I think we're still a very new Division I basketball program. When we got here 6 years ago, they had 1 winning season in 18 years. And we had 4 in a row here most recently until this year with a young team. We're still growing. But we've built a foundation, and now it's just, what can we do with that foundation? Can we really take the next step from good to great?
Yeah, and you mentioned it, like kind of growing that young team with so many young players last year. You guys lost a lot and brought back a young group and really got it going towards the end of the season. Played some really good basketball. It was kind of a bit on the show. Oh, UC Riverside won again. And like, could you just talk about the how rewarding it is to grow a young team and then see all those guys come back for another year?
Yeah, 2 years ago, obviously we had the most successful season. So like my first year, most successful season, second year, most successful. But then that third year was a senior, Zion Pullen and Flynn Cameron. And then we had a freshman of the year, Lachlan Olbrich, 22 wins, like best season ever. And then we lost our 4 best players to either graduation. Zion graduated, went to Florida, played for Todd. And then our freshman of the year, unfortunately, signed a 3-year pro contract in Australia, but great for him, and that's a good thing for UC Riverside. So it was a challenge this year, and I've been so spoiled with the same backcourt, a 6'4" point guard and a 6'5" shooting guard, and then all of a sudden my two best players were these 2 6-foot guards. So I had to learn, number one, how to coach these. And they had never played Division I games, and by the end of the year we were starting 2 freshmen and 2 sophomores. And we were reeling there in the middle of the year. We were 8-15 and 3-8 in league. And we closed strong. We got really hot. We closed 8-3 down the stretch, got to 10-10 and tied for 4th place in the Big West tournament. And so it was really rewarding just because this team stayed with it. And, myself included, I had been so spoiled with just winning and this was real adversity we were facing in the middle of the year. And I tell everybody, including our donors, because all I've been doing the last 2 months, like everybody else, is fundraising and recruiting. But I was just telling them that I'm just as proud of this team as any of those other teams, because we found a way. We had to face adversity, then we got hot, and we closed strong. And luckily, we've been able to keep we've been able to keep all of our undergraduates out of the transfer portal, because I think that they all believe, and they felt that at the end of the season, that they got confident. They got confident, and now they're kind of practicing and working out with a certain swagger.
Coach, when you have 2 young guards, especially 2 young guards that have the ball a lot of time, how do you kind of handle a losing streak like that, and just kind of keeping everyone focused and on the same page, as well as like keeping kids' confidence high?
It was tough. It was, trust me, my wife, who's a social worker and is the real head coach and therapist at home. I mean, there were some doubts that crept in. I was like, gosh dang, am I tightening these guys up? Is our program tightening up, our system even? Because everything in our program is tracked, and you're getting feedback and graded every single day. And these 2 young guards, what I did figure out is and I had a really great senior, Kyle Owens, who one night I'm recruiting in the Bay Area, and he calls me. We have an hour-and-a-half conversation, and in a really nice, respectful way, he was trying to tell me like that ball needs to move a little more. And as I'm looking at the usages and our 2 little guards who had the highest usages, I was realizing I'm going at my bigs for trying to stop those Long Beach State behemoth monsters, the Traoris, and but they're not touching the ball on offense, and a lot of and it wasn't our point guards weren't selfish. They think they're open. They come off a screen early in the clock, and they're and 15 feet, and yeah, you're open, but it's like time, score, and shot before, or something. Like it's like that there's still a nuance to the game and understanding flow, and maybe they weren't there yet. So I had to step in a little bit and kind of like let them either design more commitment to getting the ball inside and to 2-point baskets, because we kind of became a one-trick pony there early of shooting a lot of threes, and also getting the ball moving to the second side or getting a paint touch or third side even, and we call that our flow. So I really do think that conversation with my senior Kyle Owens and just getting the ball moving, and the guards were willing to do it. I just had to make sure they understood it in game flow, because they're very confident young guards, but there's nuance. You got to understand the flow. Hey, we just had 2 turnovers in a row. We do need a good possession here. But if you're on a streak and you're rolling and we're rolling, and if there's a kick ahead, wide open 3 in transition, that is the time to take it. It's hard for these guys to understand momentum and whatnot. So that's kind of where our coaching staff stepped in a little bit. And then we started to grow there. The one thing I saw that changed from when we were 8-15, and then when we closed all the way to 16-18, like I said, 8-3 down the stretch, is the usages of the other players go up, and then there was more balance. Like if you look at our KenPom, like there were 4 or 5 guys that ended up with like very similar usages, and I just think the ball moved a little more.
Yeah, when you have a guard like Barrington who from the area, it's important to keep those guys around, and then just has this terrific freshman season, and you're still able to keep him around. What's the ceiling for a player like that, and how excited are you to be able to coach him for another year?
I'm thrilled. And I like that you say another year, because it is year to year. You never know. And I was thrilled. May 2nd was a big day. I told my associate head coach, "Are you meeting me?" He doesn't drink, but I was like, "Are you meeting me at 12:01 at Buffalo Wild Wings?" And because that's where he likes it. And we were very excited about it. Unfortunately, my whole staff doesn't drink. I need a rehire, but it was exciting, because Barry, and he just believes. And I think that there is a loyalty factor. I was really fortunate to even keep Zion for the 4 years that I had him. I think there's a loyalty and there's something really rewarding about building something from the ground up. So these guys want to do it here at UC Riverside. Barrington, we signed him in August after his senior year, and I have known him since he was a sophomore, but everybody was kind of passing on him, and I finally pulled the trigger and took a chance on him. So he's kind of repaying that. Again, like, I understand the business. I understand I have him for another year, and we'll see what happens then. And I will try my best to keep him like I've done for Zion. But I think that's a big reason why everybody else is here. And I think that's a big reason why everybody else stayed when Zion stayed. I like to take a lot of credit and think that our culture has a lot to do with it. And I think it does. We really do pour into these guys and love on them. We coach them hard. We're very demanding, accountable, but we do love on them and invest in them. But I think everybody's really excited. I think even our collective and everybody's very excited about Barrington Hargreaves coming back, and the ceiling for him. He's had games this year that even Zion didn't have as a freshman, sophomore. Like he went toe to toe with AJ Mitchell, and we came out with a win at home earlier in the conference slate where Barrington kind of like grew up before everybody's eyes and was like, whoa, this guy's the real deal. And I just think the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. He's 6'1", so not quite the size of Zion, but just as dynamic and cares. It was really cool. There's a top 10 assist to turnover decision makers thing that came out, and Zion was third this year for Florida, and Barrington was ninth. His assist to turnover is that good. So it's not hard to recruit guys to want to play with an unselfish point guard like that.
Coach, you guys go from being a young team to still having a lot of young pieces, but having a lot more continuity going into next year. Even with returning that much, how important is it for you guys to evaluate transfers well? And then, of course, you get a guy like Parker Strauss to come back to SoCal from Northwestern after being a 3-star recruit.
Yeah, well, Parker, I'll get into Parker in just a sec because that is a really special recruit for us. But our whole pitch to our team and to our collective, the collective, the guys that run our collective, was retain. It's crazy that I'm even speaking about this. It's more affordable to retain than to go out there and go get, we can't. And I would love to, wouldn't we all want to invest in the guys that are like Riverside's sons? Like, we're all proud of Barrington Hargreaves, Nate Pickens, Caleb Smith, Isaiah these guys that have grown up in our program and are growing within our program. Let's do everything we can to retain these guys. And so don't get me wrong, because we have done very well in the transfer portal in my first years as head coach, but obviously it's changed now. It's really transaction based. And our whole pitch is very, again, you're going to hear me say a lot of things that Coach Smith says. It's about getting the right guys on the great attitudes, great work ethics. And so, like, I understand NIL is a part of it, but if you're leading out with that, you're probably not our kind of guy. But I totally understand NIL is a part of it. Like, and so I don't think that we have we can't compete with all the mid majors in that world. It's just Riverside's just a different type of town. But to get a guy like Parker Strauss really shows where the direction of the program. Like, we don't usually, and I don't know if you know Southern California well, but Riverside's inland, so we're about an hour east of LA, about an hour east of Newport Beach, like 40 minutes east of Disneyland. So we're kind of like that inland empire is what they call it. We have never got an Orange County kid where Parker Strauss from. I mean, he lives in Costa Mesa, where I used to run my company, which is bordering Newport Beach, where I lived during my real estate days. And it was amazing to land an Orange County kid like that, who had Mountain West offers. And when he committed, he said, there was a lot of fluff, people who had more things, but he really appreciated and wanted to be a part of the substance of the program. So again, I never signed. Nothing's ever closed till you sign on the dotted line. It's not close till we get Parker Strauss here on campus June 24th. But it was a big deal, and he's good. He's going to fit. He's very versatile, and we're very excited. And the guys love him, and he really, it didn't hurt that he took over for Houston Millette, who's the son of my athletic director. When Houston Millette graduated from Pacifica Christian in Costa Mesa, Parker Strauss came in. So there were some ties to it, and because I've been a Pacifica Christian watching Houston grow up as well. So it was all, but it was a big deal. It was a big deal to get a guy like Parker Strauss.
Yeah, I mean, I'm semi-familiar with Southern California. I spent last summer in Palm Springs, so Inland Empire. But yeah, and you mentioned it earlier, just like spending the last 2 months fundraising and like just hustling all over. What does that entail for a coach? What does fundraising look like? And how successful can really one be at this level?
I guess I had some business background, and a big part of my CFO, my business partner, I give him all the credit, because what made our real estate company successful back in 2004, he buys the website WeDoLend.com during the mortgage boom. And then when it became the foreclosure boom in 2008, 2009, we bought the website TimeToBuy.com. So 4 years ago, I buy the website RaiseTheRiv.com just in case that's going to be where I'm going to send everybody. Just kind of having that business background, having a one place and then all of a sudden, this 2 years ago, this NIL collective, and so that is what our website. I think in different areas, if I was in Santa Barbara or I was in a different zip code, I'd probably be able to get some bigger donors. This is more of like a groundswell movement that I'm trying to create here in Riverside, which is a huge community, one of the biggest metropolitan areas, but maybe not as many billionaires in this county. You know what I mean? And if maybe they're in Palm Springs, Sam, but they're not here in Riverside. So I'm kind of taking that approach, this groundswell movement, trying to get as many people on board and hoping that it just turns into that. It's not that I have to compete at it. I know that. I wish I had like these millionaire $100,000, and I do have some friends that are very successful and whatnot. And, one of our biggest givers to the collective is apartmentlist.com. So that's been helpful. And one of my best friends is CEO there. I'm coming at it at all angles, but the main thing is just like I would say in any aspect of our basketball, I got to compete. And so that's what I'm out there doing. We have a big golf fundraiser on Monday. And I think the guys appreciate that a lot. Just we're competing, we're giving everything we got to it, and it all helps. Everything helps.
All right, Jonathan, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I have one more thing. Coach, Sam goes to Syracuse and is from the New York City area. I'm from Chicago and go to Mizzou. What could you tell us and our viewers about the Big West Conference and maybe West Coast basketball that we wouldn't know?
Yeah. First of all, I love New York City. That was a dream 4 years for me. I'm so glad I did it. It was a different world. It's still my favorite cities, but I do love Chicago. I got two members on staff and our strength coach that are from Chicago, so they're always talking about it. It's awesome because you're talking about all the California schools, and then your only time that you really travel far is Hawaii, so that's not a bad trip. So your University of Hawaii, then you got all the UCs and the Cal States that make up the Big West. The best thing about it from a coaching standpoint is that you are sleeping in your own bed at night. Like you're Fullerton, Irvine, San Diego, Santa Barbara, we're all within 2 hours of each other. It is and I was in one of the best mid-major leagues in the country, in the Ivy League, and I'd say the Big West is right there with it. And usually we are kind of like right there battling Ivies, maybe a little bit higher. You're going to get really smart basketball. You're going to get size. So that's why we've always tried to be big, because there is a lot of size, although UC San Diego's challenging that. He's doing a great job there, challenging that with the way that they play a little bit. You're going to have really good guard play. This thing has been run by guards. Like the best guards are the ones who AJ Mitchell led UC Santa Barbara to a tournament last year. I'll count Abubakar Traore and Jadon Jones as the guards of Long Beach State that kind of took them where they were going. And when we had Zion pulling, peace. I mean, gosh, dang it. I was like, because we came into that game, they were on a 5-game losing streak, and I'm watching the film, and I'm like, what is that? Well, what's going on? My coach is like, I don't know if they're giving maximum effort. And then we were just kind of wondering how they were going to come into the tournament after that whole thing with Coach Munson, and they came in with maximum effort and a lot of purpose. We were 1-point game at halftime, and then they kind of overwhelmed us with their talent and their purpose, really. So it's a great conference, super talented. And it's awesome being on the West Coast. It's beautiful basketball, obviously beautiful weather, and you're getting a good brand of basketball.
All right, thank you so much, Coach, for joining us, and we really appreciate it. We have a full show coming up after this. We'll get into some more, but Coach, thank you so much.
Thanks, fellas. Have a great one.
Of course. All right, Jonathan, we got to get into the rest of this, but thank you so much to UC Riverside's Mike Magpayo. Maybe the best interview we've done, just in terms of how much we got to cover, because we're not, no disrespect obviously to McGarvey and Casey Alexander and David Riley, but like those were mid-season interviews. This is off-season stuff. We got
there was a lot of in-season stuff going on during those interviews.
Yeah, like we couldn't really bring up like the transfer portal, NIL fundraising. Like that's a really interesting thing. And we're definitely trying to get more guys on the podcast at some point. I've reached out to a whole bunch of schools. I'm going to reach out to a whole bunch more about getting this going. Thank you, Nick Lawrenson, for helping me coordinate that as well. Anyway, Jonathan.
Sam.
We forgot a couple teams last
Oh,
time.
I know. Yeah, we talked about this.
Everybody was in our comments section saying, how did you forget SMU? How did you forget Stanford? How did
we forget SMU, Stanford, and Cal? Because those schools are ACC schools. Like, that's how weird it is.
Now, again, I know we were just on with Mike Magpayo and we're talking all this great stuff about Kyle Smith, but what on earth is he cooking?
Yeah, no disrespect whatsoever, because we love Kyle Smith as a coach, but
we've been Kyle Smith fans for a very long time here.
This is a tough situation
in Palo Alto.
This is a tough situation he's walking into right now, and it's showing. They have 7 scholarships right now. Yesterday they lost Elijah Crawford, who is a point guard I really thought would have had a chance to start for them. I like that they kept Maxine Reynaud. I like that they brought in Sellers, who's a big-time shooter from USC. But,
Saren's solid.
Yeah, Saren's from Irvine, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So like those 3 pieces are guys I like, but like this is far from being a complete roster right now. Only 7 players, and if they could, it's just tough because Stanford's a school that's really high academically. Like I don't know if they still have like the really high standards or if they came down, but like what used to be the case is student athletes had to get into Stanford before they could sign their letter of intent. And so that makes it really hard to not only take high schoolers, but take portal kids.
They didn't have a transfer for like 15 years before Mike Jones.
Yeah, it was impossible.
But the way I see it for Stanford, if you have 7 players on May 15th, you're probably not going to be good, like at all, just straight up. Like we're in a point in college basketball now where most of the good players, especially at the high major level, are gone. There's still a lot of really good JUCO D2s out there, but like the good mid-major players, the best, like those guys are long gone. And if you think Stanford is going to get like a Chaz Lanier or a Coleman Hawkins, like those are the guys that are still available, like the guys that are going through the NBA draft process. I don't think that's really realistic for Stanford. So Stanford's in a really tough spot, but they got to figure it out at some point.
And I do think
it's still year 1, and I think Kyle Smith's going to do a really good job there, much better than anybody's done in the last decade or so, last 2 decades, really since the 90s. I think he's probably going to end up being their best guy, but looking at a rough year 1.
I do think that if someone can go out and fill the roster with like low major, like not low major, but like mid-major JUCO kids and like have some decent success, that like Kyle Smith could do that. Because like, I mean, heck, he just went and made the NCAA tournament and got a 7 seed with 2 of his 3 best players being a JUCO transfer, and then Isaac Jones, who was at Idaho before he came to Washington
State. You look at that, but like Jalen Wells was the number 1 Division II player in the country. Like that, like those, like the JUCO, like the D2 national players of the year, like your KJ McClurg, he's gone. Like these those guys are gone. The JUCO players of the year, Amar Aguilar, he's at Fresno State. And like
Illinois kid.
Oh yeah.
I forget where he went, but
yeah, the top guys.
It's tough. Like it's like
I trust Kyle Smith to find guys like diamonds in the rough, but like these aren't diamonds in the rough that like he's been recruiting for years. These are diamonds in the rough that he'll have maybe 2 hours of film on.
And like, if they're bad this year, it's okay. Like we're not like
agreed.
We're not saying he needs to come in and go 500 in conference, whatever. If they're like one of the worst teams in the league, it's fine. Like,
agreed. Totally agree.
We trust him fully to get it right there. And the move from Washington State to Stanford, with Washington State being eliminated from high major basketball, was absolutely necessary for him. But that doesn't mean Stanford is easy.
Yeah, it's just a super tough job.
Mhm.
Cal,
This is a interesting roster.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what Mark Matson's cooking either. Like I like the vision is a little more clear here. There's like at least a
Mhm.
bunch of Division 1 high level transfers. Like
They do have some talent.
BJ Omot was really good. Rightus Petratus, Ola Joseph, Stojakovic
Stojakovic
was
takes a
kind of
step.
recruit. But like I asked you the other day, um, is Madi Sissoko closer to being a point guard or an all Big Ten player? And you said he's closer to being a point guard.
Yes. There's a better chance that Madi Sissoko in the next 5 years is playing point guard somewhere than like being the caliber of an all Big Ten player. Obviously, like professional ranks, like scaled down.
Moving on. Do we have anything to say about Cal?
Like, this is just like I look at this team and I just like I think it's more of a collection of players than a team.
Yeah, I see that too. You know who would be a perfect fit for that? Devin Askew.
But like
He's
the
one
big
of the
transfers,
greatest to ever do it.
like they took a lot of transfers, and like I think Stojakovic was a good take. I think Dort was a good take. I think like Ola Joseph and Omot were both decent takes. But like if Rightus Petratus is your like leading scorer, like Air Force had a transfer that like couldn't get on the floor very much at Clemson this year.
Yeah.
Like, is that going to be a similar situation?
I think Joe Scott can really coach for what it's worth.
Oh yeah, he can. He's just
That might be
their resources are so limited.
That's one of the toughest jobs. No, not necessarily limited, just like no one wants to go there. Like,
Well, they can't take transfers, right?
Yeah, no, you can't.
Like, this is unrelated, and this is like one of the reasons I know this. But like, I like read something the other day. In college football, there were 4 schools not to take transfers: Air Force, Army, Navy, and Clemson.
Dabo blew a 28-3 lead for the Alabama job and then lost 45-28.
All right, SMU.
They were literally chanting anyone but Dabo on campus at Alabama. Like they did not freaking want him.
Gonna have another what's his face situation. They got a Shiano at Tennessee.
Anyway, I actually really like this SMU roster.
I do too. You kind of put me onto them, and then I was looking more into it. I think if they play the guys who, like, I think they should, then they have a chance to be really good. Like,
they could be a tournament team. I think this has the talent to be a tournament team.
If
Matt Cross is one of my favorite players in college basketball, just straight up.
Mm-hmm.
I would like that guy would have been a take at UConn.
Like how many backcourts in the ACC are you taking over Boopy Miller, AJ George, Chuck Harris, and Kerry Olaquendo?
There aren't many. Like that's a good deal better than like Syracuse's backcourt. That's a good deal better than a lot of the good. Then like, and Syracuse is gonna have a good backcourt next year with Westry coming back and with Chapo Moore. But like that, this SMU backcourt is a good deal better than that. Like just straight up, and like it's better than, I think it's better than like a Georgia Tech. It's right up there with Louisville's backcourt in my opinion.
And their front court's like not terrible either. Like
Matt Cross is terrific. The question mark for me is Johan Traore.
Mm-hmm. And then they got Colbert as like a backup 5.
Like, I'm just not sure how good Johan Traore really is. Like, he was really solid at Santa Barbara. I didn't think he averaged 14 and 5, but like I don't think he blew the doors off there. Like, he didn't really guard all that much.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't very good.
I think the idea here is that like Enfield just took 2 bigs that could rebound.
I mean, he averaged 5 rebounds a game.
He didn't play a ton though, right?
He played 30 minutes a game. He played 30 minutes a game.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, he was sorry. Okay, so he was nationally ranked in offensive rebound rate, not in defensive rebound rate.
Yeah, but literally 500th.
Yeah. That's as high as the rankings go, right?
I believe so. I've never seen a ranking that
I
high.
haven't. Yeah, off the top of my head, I've never seen a ranking higher than 500.
But like efficient, really good in the post up and gets to the line. But like, there's a reason he left Auburn after 1 year and he couldn't get on the floor there.
It's just funny because like him as a player now is like not at all what we thought he was going to be when Auburn took him.
Yeah, not at all.
Like, we thought he was going to be this like big time rim protector, maybe best freshman rim protector in the class, and he just isn't that at all.
He just hasn't guarded. Like, he's just a post scorer. But I like SMU. I think Enfield's gonna.
This is a good team.
I think Enfield has all the resources. There's a lot of freaking rich people in that program. I think Enfield has the ability to do really well there.
I'm fairly confident that in our top 100, you'll have to wait till like probably at least the middle of September to see them.
Middle of September. I think
Later.
I think maybe early October.
Really? Because early October, that's when you're getting into like the top like 35.
Okay,
30.
no, yeah, you're right. You're right. Middle of September.
Yeah, you got to remember how early it starts in November.
You're right. Yeah, because we're November 4th this year.
What day does the season start?
I just said November 4th.
No. Like day of the week. Is it a Monday again?
It's a Monday, yeah.
So is the election like later that week?
I think the election is the next week.
Okay. I'd kill for some like NEC MAC games on election night.
No, wait. I think Syracuse. Hold on. Is election night that week?
I need to know this now.
Just tell me when the election is. Okay, no, the election is November 5th.
November 5th, so the day after the season starts?
Yeah.
Dude.
Some teams will be opening up their season. Oh, man, I feel bad for the coaches.
You think there are games that night?
There have to be. If there aren't, I'm rioting. We will do a show that night. We will be the only college basketball show on election night.
Dude. It's gonna be all great. It's gonna be all fun and games until I put in a parlay of like Biden to win Michigan and like Sacred Heart to pick off like some Big East school that night with Villanova.
This is an all-time podcast moment.
Okay. We got through the three ACC schools.
Biden to win Michigan and Oakland to beat Michigan. And then the vote immediately gets reversed and Greg Campy gets all of the Michigan electoral votes.
Yes, I'd vote for him.
I would too. Like if Greg Campy ran for president, he's like 15 years younger than both candidates.
That doesn't surprise me.
He's been in the game for 40 years.
Dude, I think Boeheim's younger than both of the candidates.
He is. I thought all three of them were Jim Boeheim.
Okay, we need to move on.
It's the off season. We can be a little loosey goosey.
What conference do you want to go to next?
The Big East.
Okay.
Butler.
Alphabetical order here?
Yes, Butler.
I really like what Butler's done this offseason.
I'm confused. What's the plan here? Are we sliding Telfort and Brooks a position down and playing Colby King at the 1 and then McCaffrey at the 4? Or are we putting Patrick McCaffrey and Jamie Kaiser both off the bench and playing Colby King with Bizjack?
Okay. I'll tell you what I have their lineup as right now because I have them ranked already. I have Butler at Colby King playing point guard, which we'll see how that goes. Bizjack 2, Brooks 3, Telford at the 4, Andre Screen starting at the 5.
But
They're
like,
front-
do you think Patrick McCaffrey came there to play 15 minutes a game off the bench?
I think he should have been playing 15 minutes off the bench at Iowa.
Yeah, but this is Butler. This isn't Iowa.
Go play off the bench. Dude, you're not playing for your dad anymore.
I mean, did he just go to Butler because Caitlin Clark's in Indianapolis now?
That's not the one that's dating Caitlin Clark.
I know, but Connor's there too. Connor's working for the Pacers now.
Like, I don't know. Maybe they start. Maybe they start him at the 4. I mean, you can't really start him over Telford, right?
No, not even close.
Even with 2 inches of positional size plus better shooter.
No, you can't do it.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway,
No, I just like.
this team's not very good though.
I disagree. I think Bizjack is an all-league guy next year.
Whoa.
And, dude, I think he's taking a huge jump.
Bizjack and all, like, beep, beep, beep.
Dude, I think he's going to be their best player next year.
If Finn Bizjack is their best player, this is like a Sweet 16 team.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far.
Like that's my point. Like, if Finley Bizjack just comes out of nowhere averaging 14 and 6, like then you have like 4 like really good scorers. I think Bizjack can average like 7.
Like, I think they just have a lot of different options on the wing, and there's going to be some teams that have a really tough time guarding them.
But I kind of felt the same way this year. They kind of wilted. And like, do we think Colby King's better than Posh? Like, Posh started over Colby King at St. John's.
Mm-hmm. Is that a talent thing, or is that a Mike Anderson thing?
It might be a Mike Anderson thing.
We'll find out this year.
Posh Alexander as the 3rd best point guard at Dayton. I don't know, Jim.
Posh is good. I'm not trying to.
I don't know about that. He's had like
guard.
He's had like 2 bad years in a row.
He can really guard though.
No, yeah, he's the best. I remember when I texted you as soon as Dayton got him, he's the best on-ball defender in that conference. But like, he's had 2 bad offensive seasons in a row.
I mean, I think at this point he's just not a good offensive player.
I mean, he was really good offensively in his first year. Sorry, his second year.
Should we move on?
That's way too much time talking about Butler. Creighton.
That was an intriguing discussion, though.
Creighton.
Okay.
Pop Isaacs as a Trey Alexander replacement just like
Dude,
does not move me an inch. I think this team is overrated.
This team is a top 25 team for me because they return Kalkbrenner, they return Ashworth, and they return Mason Miller.
Like,
what are we doing what are we doing with this Pop Isaacs stuff? It's not a fit in that system at all.
Pop Isaacs is like a point guard, and he's like not that great.
No, the problem that
do you know what Pop Isaacs' career field goal percentage is?
Dude, I'm gonna guess it's like 36%.
35.6.
Okay, dude,
he took
spot on there.
7.3 threes per game last year and shot 29%.
Dude, he took 49 more threes, or like 48 more threes than Kobe Bryant did, and shot and hit like 23 less or 27 less.
27 less. Dude, I called Pop Isaacs Big 12 Chucky Hepburn last year. That was an insult to Chucky Hepburn.
I think one of the things about Pop is his best attribute, I think, is his passing. But like, he doesn't play point guard. He shoots too much to play point guard. Like, his assist numbers if he plays point guard will be good because his usage rate is so high, but his offensive rating sucked.
I don't like this get.
Dude, he had a 98 offensive rating. This is like the off-brand version of like,
Patelis has been clamoring for a bad get. I think we found one.
dude, this is like if you got
When we do
this
like
is if you
our
brought in
top
like an
five-
off-brand version of Caleb Love.
when we do our top 5 worst gets, this is going to be on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Pop Isaacs is talented. If he comes out and averages 15 on like 39%, though, that's a success. Like, he's not that good.
He's not that good. What do you think of Jamia Neal?
He's solid. But like, here's the thing: Ryan Kalkbrenner has been the same player for the last 3 years.
Oh, he's not getting any better. This is the best he's gotten.
Where has that gotten them?
Sweet 16, Elite 8 with a favorable draw.
Okay, you get my point. But
I mean, I
Stephen
think that's
Ashworth
I think that's their ceiling again.
Stephen Ashworth having the Tristan Newton second-year transfer leap is this team's best hope.
That isn't happening.
Yes, I agree. It's not happening.
That's not happening.
But Stephen Ashworth as the team's best player is the best version of this team, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Yes,
Correct.
I agree with you.
Would you like to talk about the collection of talent that will be playing on the south side of Chicago?
I don't think that's considered South Side, is it? That's still downtown. That's still like downtown Chicago.
It's kind of I mean, when I was there,
It's not a great part, but like there are certainly a lot
McCormick
of worse
Place.
parts.
Let's just say across from McCormick Place.
Okay, let's start with what I like about this roster.
Layden
should be good there.
Blocker.
CJ Gunn probably deserve.
Layden Blocker is going to be their best player in a long time since like Javon Freeman Liberty.
CJ Gunn probably deserves some more minutes at Indiana.
Wasn't Ant Wright obsessed with him?
Huh?
Wasn't Ant Wright obsessed with him?
Dude, deservedly so. Did you watch that Indiana team play?
Well, Anthony Leal was their best player.
Okay. Other things I like. Enright is probably a good backup point guard in the Big East. Not like the best option, but like his game has really grown over the past year. Skogman is like a guy that can step out and shoot, and then like Rivera will be able to score, but probably won't be very efficient.
I like Skogman.
What I've been saying about this roster, and then I didn't mention Jacob Meyer, who had like a really good freshman year at Coastal, but I'm not sure is like ready to make the jump to the Big East. What I've been saying about this roster is they will jump a ton of spots in Ken Pom from where they were last year, but they are still nowhere near to being a top 100 team for me.
I agree. You said it all. Now to talk about the worst team in this conference.
Dude, the Paul expert. Give me some credit here.
Now to talk about the worst.
We'll see you in Wintrust.
We've talked about backcourts that won't guard. I think that we may have found the single worst defensive backcourt in all of college basketball for next year.
In the history of the sport.
Malik Mack and Jaden Epps at Georgetown. Both of them can get buckets. Malik Mack's really good. I was a huge fan of his at before he got to Harvard and at Harvard. But like as the one to Jaden Epps is 2, what are they asking for here?
So I'll say this: Georgetown will be a fun watch next year, but they'll be a fun watch in a way that in a way worse way that Kentucky was a fun watch. Like way worse.
They'll rank like 43rd in offense and 273rd in defense.
What I do like is I think that like the guys that they have outside of the 2 guards will like really give it on the defensive end. Like PV, you know what you're getting from this point. Good defender.
Burks.
Fielder, if he plays more this year, his effort level when I watched him in high school was really high. I don't think he's supremely talented, but his effort level is certainly there. The problem is, like you said, backcourt does not defend at all. And I question what they have off the bench at this point. Like,
They like right now, Thomas Sorber is like gonna play like 15 to 20 minutes a game.
is Burks is your starting five, right?
No, Fielder.
Oh, if he's your starting five, that's trouble.
Yeah, I would.
He'll try, but he won't be able to guard those bigs in that conference.
No chance. Marquette. Is Sean Jones going to be back?
I mean, he tore his ACL like early December. I would assume so, right? Like, in this day and age, we've seen guys come back from torn ACLs in like 6-7 months.
I heard somewhere on like a podcast, like that they weren't expecting him back.
Like, at the beginning of the year or at all?
Like until February.
Dude, that's a crazy long ACL recovery time.
Yeah, I don't believe
that would have been a crazy long recovery time like 8 years ago.
I don't believe that. But like I think Cam Jones will be an All-American.
Is he coming back for sure yet?
Yes.
Okay.
He announced I'm back like not long ago.
Okay. That's obviously very good for them. He will be an All-American. He's a tremendous player. I think is he your starting point guard if Jones doesn't come back until later in the season?
But like Stevie Mitchell, David Joplin, like this is 3 years of Stevie Mitchell and David Joplin as glue guys. Like this is really like Marquette's culture, I think, is the best aside from UConn in this conference.
Yeah.
There's like the ability to bring back the glue guys consistently.
No, I think I mean, Joplin, you said it. Joplin, Mitchell, your glue guys. The guys that are going to score outside of Jones are like, if Sean Jones isn't back right away, the guys that are going to score for you are like Chase Ross and Trey Norman.
Yeah. I think Zayd Lowry can be interesting.
Yeah. No, both of those guys that were freshmen last year could see like major leaps. I don't know.
They didn't like they don't really do work in the portal because they don't need to.
They're so good in developing internally and like retaining guys that they don't
need. I would have liked to see maybe them try and add like an element that they didn't have. Like they were very well rounded. Like it's not like they didn't really have much.
I would have liked to see if they could go out and like, don't get me wrong, there's like you don't just go find Oso Iguodaros in the portal, but like I would have liked to see them go attempt to get like one of those bouncier front court guys because like Ben Gold's good, but he's not like the most athletic in the world. And like Iguodaro gave them an element that it's obviously hard to replace, but like I would have liked to see them at least try to go get a front court guy like that with a similar skill set. Sam, are you all good here? I didn't really know that talking about Marquette was that miserable for you. But yeah, I mean, like we said, like
yeah, I heard what you were saying about getting a more athletic big because I don't really like the idea of Ben Gold at the 5, like a ton.
Like 20 minutes is fine for him at the 5, but
yeah, I think they could have gotten a better one.
I haven't watched any of these freshmen yet, by the way, for Marquette.
No, neither have I. I've never even heard of him.
Parham, I have.
Providence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The evaluation.
Hashtag the evaluation. Dallahan, where are you?
He's too busy. He's too busy freaking out over Mike bringing up the entourage. Okay, pluses for this roster. Hopkins is back.
Card it. Jabri, Joseph, great pickups.
Negatives. There's still a lot of questions about this backcourt.
Negatives, they still have like a mid point guard at best.
Pierre.
Yeah, but like the good news, we don't need to look at this team and have them be trusting Richard Barron and Corey Floyd with 30 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Like those guys played a crap ton last year. They were not very good.
We'll see. This bench could be interesting still.
But like that lineup's really good, and I think
the first five is really good. Like their bench.
I think Corey Floyd and Dick Barron can be good bench guys.
Like is Justin Fernandez going to be able to play this year?
Not sure, but
this was like a top 100 recruit who like committed to George Mason and then followed Kim.
What do you think about Kreist?
lot of work, but like rim protection is always essential, and I don't think Providence had Providence needed to replace a lot of that. Like you lose Oduro, you lose Castro, who didn't play that much for you, but like still a big body. You lose Gaines, who was like one of your bigger bodies on the roster.
Yeah, where do we stand right now with Providence, just in general?
Like from a ranking perspective,
yes,
somewhere between 20 and 30 feels acceptable.
I agree. Now you take that and you go 20 or 30 below, maybe another 20 below, and you get to Seton Hall.
Dude, I think it might be lower than that.
I'm going to give Shaw the benefit of the doubt at this point because like he kind of did the same stuff last year with like a team that we thought would suck.
But like we were still ranking them in the like 60s, right?
I think, but like this team's not good. Like, is Scotty Middleton their best player?
Yes, he is, and that's extremely concerning.
Chauncey Jenkins, Zion Harmon, Prince Aligbe, Scotty Middleton, and like,
hey, they have baby Nikola Jokic
and Gus Yalden at the 5, baby Jokic.
I don't understand how Yalden's gonna like work in that system.
TikTok legend Gus Yalden.
That guy is a what's it called? What's the account?
Strictly B-ball.
That guy's a strictly B-ball merchant.
All right, moving forward.
I will give them some props here. I do like that they added Prince Aligbe.
Yeah, but BC fans think he's terrible, so
I think they're wrong.
St. John's. Did you see what Jordan tweeted about the St. John's backcourt?
No.
Go look it up. It's like a fairly recent one of his tweets.
Okay, hold on. Let me look at this. Is it from? It's not this one about if you would put St. John's in his top 25, right?
No, it says Kadari and Davon Smith together.
When is this from?
May 7th.
Okay, let me scroll down a little bit.
From Jordan.
From who?
Jordan.
Oh, I thought you said Jaden.
No, Jordan.
All right, hold on. May 7th, you said?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Kadari and Davon Smith together.
I'm with this because like at the end, Kiermaier catches the ball.
Uh-huh.
Like it all works out.
It does work out.
It doesn't make sense. It's a terrible roster construction. But it's those two guys that are super talented, playmakers, rebounders, attacking the basket with Rick Pitino.
Mm-hmm.
They will be the best team in the country at putting pressure on the rim.
Yeah.
They will also guard the crap out of you. They will be a top 10 defense. They will be 43rd ranked offense than the 8th ranked defense. They would be San Diego State.
So is the problem that they literally have like nobody on the roster that can shoot?
No, I don't think they have nobody on the roster that can shoot.
Outside of like Aaron Scott.
I think Aaron Scott can shoot. I think Jaden Glover can shoot. I know you don't.
Glover can shoot, but like that might be the only thing he can do.
I don't know anything about Lefteris Leotopoulos. Can he shoot?
Have you watched this kid Come On Maker at all?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never heard of him.
This seems like a kid that's going to be in the MAC in 2 years.
Lefteris. God, I can't even find him on Synergy.
I will say that Lefteris Leotopoulos does seem like a St. John's name.
I like this team. I think that's a top 25-ish team.
Yeah, I would agree. There's
talk about
same as Providence, somewhere in that 20 to 30 range.
To talk about the 2-time reigning national champion UConn Huskies.
Okay, Caravan. Is he like gone?
That's my impression. He killed the combine.
Like, is there an NIL deal that like UConn would give him?
Yes.
To come back.
Yes.
Okay, so we can't rule it out yet.
But I think he's gone. I think he can be a first round pick.
I agree.
But Aiden Mahaney's not a point guard. Hassan Diarra will start. Jalen Stewart will be the Big East's most improved player. Liam McNeely can shoot the shit out of the ball. And Sam. I like this team.
Taurus.
Yeah, Taurus off the bench.
Who is this team's best player without Caravan?
Probably Mahaney.
This team is at its best if their best
Jalen
player.
Stewart.
Okay, I agree. Him or Solo. I'd be in favor of starting Ahmad Noel over Diarra.
What?
I'd be in favor of starting.
I would not. I think Diarra is really good.
I think he's really good on one side of the ball. He is improved on.
I just think he had a bad offensive season in 23. He was really good offensively this past year. He hit 36% of his threes.
120 offensive rating.
Mm-hmm.
Assist rate, definitely good enough to play point. Shot 36% from 3. Yeah, that's not bad. That's better than I thought it was.
He just had a bad offensive season as a junior.
And what you're getting from him on the defensive end.
He's the best defensive guard in the conference, aside from Kadari.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Jalen Stewart, at this team's best, Jalen Stewart's the best player. He was the only freshman who was really at all in the rotation at the end of the season, aside from Steph. Solo was kind of played out.
Solo played a lot at the start of the year.
Yeah, because Steph went down.
Yeah, Steph was hurt, and I think he was fine, but it was very clear they didn't have a need for him when Steph was healthy.
Jaden Ross didn't play much at all, and Sangare just didn't play at all. He's
probably still another year from real playing time,
he's
right?
Another year away, but I think he'll be good eventually. But UConn didn't lose any notable players to the portal. Apostolos Romaglu was the only one, and Andre Johnson.
That's a big loss, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's a big loss. UConn might not win by 37 anymore.
Apostolos was a culture guy.
Yeah. Hey, UConn wasn't good until they brought in Apostolos Romaglu.
Okay, you want to talk about Villanova real quick while I go get another water?
Yeah. I like the backcourt, the idea of trying to play booty ball again with Brickus, with a big guard in Shulga, and with a strong guard in Perkins. I think there's two guys that can really play make in terms of Shulga and Brickus, but like Perkins isn't big. Like Perkins is strong, but he's like 6'3", 6'4". And
Mhm.
like when I first watched him, I thought he was like 6'6", but he's not. He's not a playmaker. So you kind of need Perkins to shoot, I think, if you want to get like the best type of minutes out of him. And he shot 35% last year, so that's fine. But like, I'm not sure how good of a shooter he really is. When it comes to Shulga, I think Shulga is this team's best player. I think Max Shulga is a stud, and I think Brickus is pretty good as well. But
Yeah, they got guys that are going to be able to put the ball in the basket.
But I think Brickus is a really good A10 point guard. I'm not sure how good he is as kind of like a 1/2 at the Big East level.
It kind of concerns me that it's May 16th and this team has 9 players.
And none of them are a capable center or an experienced 4.
No, like Nana and Joku. Like, are we serious right now?
I think Matt Hodge is good though. Best player from the Jersey Shore in a while.
I haven't watched him fully, but like early reaction, I like what I've seen.
I like him a lot.
Mosley's an interesting player because
Mosley,
he's physically ready to play college basketball. I'm not sure he's ready skill-wise yet.
Okay. His offers included Illinois, Colorado State. Okay.
I forget who I watched him against, but he's from Texas.
Xavier?
Really good team.
My one concern.
I'm in on Xavier.
I have one concern. I love the talent. That's a lot of transfers.
It is.
There is like no continuity here.
That is true. And
Trey Green, Dalen Swain, and Zach Freemantle are the only guys, and Davion McKnight. Like, so 4 guys. 2 of them will start, 2 of them will come off the bench. Like, all of your glue guys, including Conwell, who's going to get big minutes, Hugley, who's going to get big minutes, Foster, Maddox, Traore, all those guys who are going to play important roles in big minutes, they are transfers. I think you need, and you look at the last time Xavier was really successful, they had 1 transfer, Sule Boom.
Mm-hmm.
I think Xavier is going to be really good, but I would not be surprised if we kind of get too many cooks in the kitchen there.
Are they trying to like? Are they trying to build like an Indiana State like esque team? Like somewhat?
No, they're not.
Like they're gonna spread the floor a ton.
No, they're not. They're gonna play 2 bigs.
Yeah, but like Fremantle can come out.
But they're gonna play 2 bigs. They're gonna do the same thing they did with Fremantle and Nunji.
This team's best player. Best case scenario, who is this team's best player?
Davion McKnight.
If this team is at its best, what do you think their rotation looks like? Because it's pretty clear they're going to play 9-10 guys.
I think everybody like can play. Like everybody, like but like maybe Colbert.
Colbert won't play. But like you are right in terms of they have like 8 starters. And that could be a problem.
All right. You want to come back and do this? Do episode 4 tomorrow?
I may not be free tomorrow.
So you want to just bang out another conference right now?
I thought we were going to do the Big Ten.
You want to?
Sure. I got nothing going on. Are
3,
you good with it?
2, 1. Illinois.
Oh, boy.
I like Ben Hummerkaus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really get Jake Davis, Trey White. Oh, they brought in Zvonimir Ivasic's twin brother.
Disaster.
That's a disaster waiting to happen.
Where did they get Jake Davis from? Remind me.
Mercer?
You are correct.
He
Okay.
averages 9 a game.
Here's one of the problems I have with this team. Hummerkaus, team wasn't that good, losing record. White, team was terrible. Davis, team was under 500. Booth, team wasn't that good.
Yeah.
They got one transfer from a winning program, and it was a kid that everyone ripped on all year for being inconsistent.
I think best case scenario for this team, Morez Johnson is like really good.
Morez can be a really good freshman. I wouldn't be terribly
Morez
surprised.
and Tomislav Ivasic are the two best players in the best
No,
case scenario.
we're not doing this again.
How have you watched Tomislav Ivasic yet?
Dude, Kentucky tried Ivasic to be their best player. It was a freaking disaster.
I know. Let's see. What are his international stats? He averaged 7 points per game.
International stats are tough to go by.
I know. I'm just looking at the numbers. Tomislav Ivasic, a skilled 7'1", 250. That doesn't tell me anything. Every 7'1", 250-pound center is skilled, according to Jonathan Gavoni. Freaking Ike Obiagu is skilled, according to Jonathan Gavoni, if his agent says so.
That is true. Yeah, this team I have some concerns about. I think they'll still be. I still think they might be a tournament team. I still think they'll be competitive at the very least. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't have questions.
I like Indiana.
Look who's on the train.
I don't love him. I like him.
Indiana's good. If they play through the right guys, they'll be good.
Here's the thing. I'm just concerned that they'll never use their best lineup. For me, their best lineup is Carlisle, Rice, Goody, Mbako, and Renew.
You said Carlisle, Rice,
Goody, Mbako, and Renew.
Trey Galloway has to start, dude.
No! Just because he was the only good player on a terrible team?
Dude, he was legitimately good last year.
But Goody just does everything better than him.
I disagree. I think Galloway is a tremendous passer. I think...
No, he's a solid passer.
I think he's a great playmaker.
But they have so much playmaking with Rice and Carlisle.
Great. They need more of it.
I think you get plenty of playmaking from that backcourt, and then you need shooting from Goody. Trey Galloway shot 26% from 3 last year.
What did Mac shoot? 32, 33?
But it was good in the second half of the season.
Mac?
Yeah.
They just got to play him at the right position. But
yeah, exactly.
Carlisle can't shoot.
Exactly.
I'd rather start Galloway than Carlisle.
No, I think you're so much more dynamic with Carlisle.
I'm on the Trey Galloway train. Can we all agree that this team is just much better by Xavier Johnson simply not being on the roster?
Yes.
Remember when Indiana fans were mad because that he wasn't in that poll for best guard in the Big Ten?
Yeah, that was wild.
He may have been the worst guard in the Big Ten.
But what did he average last year? 7.6 points on 42% from the field. He's one of the few guys that saw his scoring average go down in his final 4 seasons. His highest scoring season was his freshman year, and his lowest scoring season was his 6th year.
Whoops.
Umar Ballo is not a good fit at all. It is everything that this team needs to move away from.
Explain.
He's a post-oriented big. They already have Renew.
Yeah, did you hear Woodson? Basketball still played through the post.
It's 1942. Thank you, Mr. Woodson. Is Ballo going to start doing skyhooks?
I refuse to believe that this team is going to fail with Miles Rice as its point guard.
I refuse to believe that this team is going to make a run in the NCAA tournament. But they might be one of
I
the
never
best,
said that.
But they might be one of the best 3 teams in the Big Ten.
I currently have them as the 3rd best team in the Big Ten. All right, let's move.
Iowa.
Good team.
If
they get Stanford back.
Stanford comes back, it's top 25.
Mm-hmm. And he didn't have a good combine. So
I like Seydou Traore there as well. I think that's like a Murray twin mold body type athlete.
But not nearly as much skill.
No, not even close. But like it's the same type of just like bruiser athlete of a like big wing that can handle.
Like you have playmaking guards in Thelwell and Harding. You have plenty of shooting. Owen Freeman could be like a dark horse Big Ten Player of the Year candidate. They could legit have 2 first-team All Big Ten guys if Stanford comes back.
I'm with you.
Like I feel like I've ranked this team too low at the moment.
Where do you have them?
Like 28th.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to have them top 20 at the end of the day.
I don't know. What are they going to do at the 3? Because, like...
Stanford could play the 3.
And Traore plays the 4?
Yeah, I mean, or Josh Dix plays the 3.
I think Dix is a 2. What about Price Sanford? Like, what about a...
No. You could play Thelwell with Harding.
So you think they'll start 2-point guards?
I think Thelwell can be a 2.
Okay.
I mean, like he's got the size and like he can shoot. Like at
people,
least a little.
People, and I'm one of them, do think Harding will take a pretty big leap.
No, yeah, I love Brock Harding.
Kid's a dog.
I think he's going to be a really good player for them.
We'll see. Koch gives you some shooting off the bench as a freshman. Chris Tajo is like an NBA Africa Academy guy. So I haven't watched him yet. And then, like, dude, I forgot Evan Brons was on this team.
Maryland.
You like them more than me.
Love this team. Big Ten's good next year.
You don't think that playing Queen and Reese together is going to be an issue at all?
It will. Love the backcourt, though. Love Queen. But, like, would you feel better about this team? Like, they didn't have one of Reese or Queen?
No, I'd feel about the same.
See, I disagree. I think having both of those guys gives Willard more options at his disposal.
How do you feel about their bench?
I think it's better. I think
they plugged in a bunch of freaking 2K generated guys off the bench last year.
Callum Swanton Roger.
And like Jonathan Lamoth.
I think Deshaun Harris-Smith and Tafari Gapare are going to be good bench contributors.
Harris-Smith needs to become a better shooter.
Yeah.
If they want to like really be good.
Gillespie, Rice, Miguel, Queen, Reese with Geronimo, Harris-Smith.
Miguel was the best addition they made.
No, it was Gillespie.
You know how big of a fan I am of Gillespie? They desperately needed shooting wings.
Well, you're just saying this because Selton Miguel follows you on Twitter.
Dude, they had nobody that could shoot last year. Like,
I know,
period.
but I think Jacoby Gillespie Might be a first team All Big Ten player.
Dude, if that happens, I will lose my mind.
Do you think it's out of the question? Like, I think eventually he will be. Like, next year, he might be an All-American.
Maybe not his first year, but like his second
I think
year.
he could be an
Honestly,
All-American.
Like you're probably not beating out Braden Smith for Player of the Year, or not for point guard on that first team.
But do they do it that way?
I mean, I guess like they've kind of moved away from it. Like the Big Ten had 1 year where they had 3 centers.
What point guard in this league, aside from him, the guy you just met, Braden Smith, oh my God, is better than Jacoby Gillespie? Like Dylan Harper, maybe? And I don't really think I'm not sure he's a 1. Like, I think he's like a 2 that can really play make.
Bruce Thornton.
No!
Dude, I like Bruce Thornton.
I do too. Jacoby Gillespie's better.
Maybe Ace?
No! I think Jacoby Gillespie's better than both those guys.
I think it's close.
Okay, that's fair. Oh, Shelstad.
Kamari McGee.
Shelstad.
Yeah.
Shelstad. Oregon's going to be really good. You want to talk
I
about
forgot
Oregon?
that they're in this freaking conference.
You want to talk about Oregon?
I mean, that's not really alphabetical order, but sure.
TJ Bamba, Jackson Shelstad, Brandon Angel, KJ Evans, and Nate Biddle. I think KJ Evans could be first team All Big Ten. I've come around on Kwame Evans.
They were also brought in Raheem Moss from Toledo, right? Is it Toledo or Kent State?
He's Toledo.
Bartholomew's back. Tracy. They're going to be really deep again.
Yeah.
And like Mookie Cook's not injured anymore, I think.
I don't think Mookie Cook's good, though. Like, we don't have to see 22 minutes of Brennan Rigsby anymore.
I didn't think he was that bad.
I didn't think he was good.
You also, like
you're getting sophomore Jackson Shelstad and
like, you're also losing N'Faly Dante.
Yeah, no. If N'Faly Dante were to come back, I'd have them as a top 5, top 10 team.
Like, Evans legitimately will be really good next year.
But they're going to be huge. They're still going to be huge.
Yeah.
Love what this team's building. Washington.
So we just sidetracked the teams that played in the conference known as the Pac-12.
What on earth is Danny Sprinkle cooking here?
This team is a freaking disaster.
We kind of discussed this yesterday. No, not a freaking disaster. It's just a weird conglomerate of talent. What is it? Louis Courtwright, DJ Davis, Makai Mason, Great Osibor, and Chris Conway.
Kapnong.
Is that you're not starting Kapnong, are you?
Who's your 5?
You didn't pay $2 million to play Great Osibor and not play Chris Conway, did you?
I don't know. Utah State's roster construction last year was really weird too.
It worked though.
It did work.
Like I thought those wings were really good, and these wings are not. I mean, Conway can be a 5. He's like 6'10", 225.
I'm not sure if Washington was going to give Osibor $2 million if they had enough to like lure like those guys from Utah State out of
clearly, and I think that's what happened.
Because like Falslev was in the portal, right?
Falslev and Martinez were in the portal,
and then they both decided to go back.
Correct.
Yeah, like my thing about Washington is like last year Utah State took a bunch of players that like weren't supposed to be good, and like they ended up being good. Like we both ranked him because we like thought Sprinkle was really good, and like Osibor would take a huge leap.
No. I thought Sprinkle was really good and Asamoah was really good and Brown was really good.
Where'd you rank Utah State last year?
73.
I ranked them.
You had them 85.
How did you get to that so fast? 86.
Because I remember we discussed this.
I also had 2 kids starting for them that like didn't play or like played very minimal.
Who?
Burris.
Yeah, no, I had that too.
I guess like a DJ played 59% of the minutes.
Yeah,
but
I
Burris didn't play at all.
I thought Burris would be really good. Burris was one of the reasons I liked them so much.
Like I had Ian Martinez coming off the bench.
I liked Uduje a lot.
Or sorry, not Martinez. I'd like Falslev. Came out of nowhere.
Yeah, but he was really good. 66%. 68% inside the arc in league play. USC. I think
they had to take all these transfers.
Not sure how much better you could have done.
Yeah, no, Muss did a good job here.
I think that the size
he made the mistake last year.
There's so much positional size on this backcourt when you look at St. Thomas and Des Claude as guys that can play the 1, 2, or 3.
He made the mistake last year of taking a bunch of players that came from like losing programs, and like not everyone was a perennial winner that came in here, but he took a lot of kids that won games.
Des Claude came from a really good Xavier program.
Mm-hmm.
St. Thomas came from a program that developed talent really well with Dalton Connect.
Agbo was on multiple teams.
Shibuzo Abo comes from a terrific program. Matt Nolan comes from a terrific program. Bryce Pope comes from a terrific program. Clark Slacker, they weren't good last year, but Penn's a good program.
Yes.
And Josh Cohen played for Frank Martin last year and was part of a good team. I like USC. I think they're top 25-ish.
Okay, here's my question of the day. Who plays point guard for them?
As I've said, I think it could be a lot. I think it says Claude.
Would you how upset would you be if they tried St. Thomas at point guard for a little?
As I said, I think he can play the 1, 2, 3, or 4.
I want to see St. Thomas play point guard for them.
I think he can play the 1, 2, 3, or 4. I want to see Des Claude be the point guard. I want to see Claude. Here, well, what's the lineup that I have for them?
I have Thomas, Sladger, Claude, Agbo, Cone.
I have Claude, Thomas, Abo, AG, and Cohen.
Okay.
I like that a lot. That has rebounding, that has shooting, that has playmaking. That's a very well-rounded look. UCLA, though, took a lot of guys from losing teams.
A lot.
I don't like it. I just don't buy the hype.
So you brought in Tyler Bilodeau, who was on like the worst high major program not named DePaul. You brought in like Eric Daly from Oklahoma State. Didn't win a lot.
You have all the kids from last year's team that didn't win.
Kobe Johnson, I actually think is good.
No, I agree, but I just don't think that. Like they brought in a whole bunch of guards, and like they already had guards.
Like they brought in Clark, they brought in Dom Harris. Like your starting backcourt is still.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Jean Vide will be like just as good at Loyola Marymount as
Dom Harris
was this past year.
Your starting backcourt is still Dylan Andrews and Sebastian Mack, right?
Dylan,
and then Kobe Johnson.
Like I don't know. Like, I just think they didn't do a good enough job of like upgrading the talent level on this team. Like they were talented last year. That the talent level wasn't the problem. It was just like they were very young and there was not much buy-in. Like I don't know if you're gonna get guys from losing teams to buy in.
Yeah, Mick just like screaming might not work. I'm going to be honest. I would not think any lower of this team if Dylan Andrews wasn't on it and Trent Perry was their starting point guard. I think very highly of that kid. There's just no minutes for him. What do you think of William Kyle?
I think he's solid.
I thought that was a good addition. I just again don't know how many minutes there are for him. Like they have guys like on their roster still that played legit minutes for them last year that like are going to get pushed down. Stefanovic started. Like Brandon Williams played off the bench for them last year.
All right.
Back to the original Big Ten.
And that's why it's time to talk about Nebraska.
Okay, not original Big Ten. They are not next.
I don't have anything to say about Nebraska.
This team stinks.
Next.
I hope Tony isn't listening. But this team stinks. They have nobody that can score.
Michigan is really good, though.
Yeah, this team is good. I lied. Indiana's 4th in the Big Ten for me.
Okay,
Michigan.
just to expand on like why I like Dusty so much, like his offensive system is really sound, and I think his defensive system like really mirrors it well.
He made a Final Four at Florida Atlantic University.
Let me expand. I have like 3 paragraphs left. Like he wants to play in flow with 4 or 5 players that can move the ball around the perimeter, attack the basket, score in the paint without fear, space the floor, create advantages. Like there's not one primary ball handler on the floor. Anybody can be it on a given possession because they have such good spacing with talented guards. Their isolation scoring numbers have been excellent. Rim and 3 rates are excellent. Catch and shoots are created off of drives, which if the defense opens up, gives up an open shot. These are fast offensive possessions, but everybody might touch the ball. And then on defense, he wants the opposite. He wants you to slow down. Teams go into the pick and roll a lot, take mid-range shots, and you need to have the versatility to switch perimeter ball screens and drop Golden or Wolf to force downhill. And that's not enticing. To force guys to attack them downhill, and that's not enticing. Just make them take the mid-range jumpers. Teams end up shooting a lot of mid-range jumpers. They cycle out into new sets, and they keep going on forever, and they take bad shots. And that's why I like the roster build that he's had at FAU with the coaching.
Yeah, the one real problem I have with this is I don't think Golden and Wolf can play together at all.
No.
So like which is fine because like Vlad didn't play that much at FAU in terms of like percentage.
And I'm not sure Danny Wolf can be 30 minutes a game of a Big Ten big.
He also just can't guard Big Ten centers.
I think he can guard.
I have my doubts. But like I do like a lot of things you said. And I absolutely hate when people say, oh, Dusty May isn't actually that good. If he didn't make that Final Four, if you take away his Final Four, like, dude, do you realize what you're saying? Like, oh, you'd be okay with him if he made 2 Final Fours at Florida Atlantic. Do you know how hard it is to make 2 Final Fours at Michigan? Like, my God. This roster is very good, though. And, like, they have a lot of guard depth.
Michigan State got Simon Zapala the other day, and, like, congrats on now having 4 centers again. And that's not just 4 centers. That's 4 centers with 0 positional versatility.
Okay. Would you feel any better if they only had 3 centers?
If the 3 were the 3 that they already had? No!
Okay, great. Because I think Xavier Booker is going to play the 4. Which doesn't make them any better.
I don't think he's a 4. I don't think he's I don't think he's a 4. I don't think he's a 5. I just don't think he's a Big Ten basketball player.
Is this
Is
situation
Ray Holloman his team's second best guard?
behind Jay Nakins?
Yes.
Dude, I think Holloman might be their best guard.
That's a problem.
I also think Holloman could be all Big Ten.
I don't.
Have you watched any of their freshmen?
Well, I've heard Kurt Tang sucks.
Richardson's good, but like some of the shit that he does at Columbus, he's not going to get away with in the Big Ten. His shot selection at time is not great.
Minnesota.
Um,
They lost Hawkins late, and they got Patterson. That's fine. Mitchell will rebound. Otokali's good.
I do think this team's a little underrated, but like
I mean,
they're not.
Boston
They're not.
Garcia might still average like 22 points a game on like 24 shots.
Will he lead the Big Ten in scoring next year?
It might be Great Osobor just because no one else can. No, it could be Bryce Williams.
Is Caleb Williams gonna have to score for this team? Like a lot?
Let's move on. Northwestern, who does not have a point guard.
They don't have a point guard.
Jalen Leach is not a point guard. He can be a point guard in stretches. He is not a starting point guard in the Big Ten.
You know who I think brings the ball up for them right now, right?
Brooks Barnheiser.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
I do think their front court's good.
No, I think Nicholson's good. Martinelli.
Fitzmaurice will be a great backup big.
Oh, Fitzmaurice is tremendous. Martinelli is obviously a friend of the program. So we're not allowed to say anything bad about him.
Good player, though.
Although we did kind of say Kyle Smith. We did kind of throw his whole team under the bus after having one of his former assistants on the show.
But we also said that it wasn't his fault. So,
all right, Ohio State. I don't get it.
This is another. Is this not just like a slightly better version of what Indiana was last year?
I just think it's a continuation of the last Holtman years,
dude.
Or they're just gonna be mid.
Listen, I don't want to like say everything bad about them before like this plays out because they do have talent, but like I don't think Jake Diebler was the right guy.
All right, Penn State.
Hold on, real quick before we move on. Does Ohio State just have like the same players in the backcourt and then the same players in the front court?
What?
Like Bruce Thornton and Michi Johnson are both like two guys that are going to create a ton of shots. They'll score, but like they'll miss a ton of shots.
Yeah,
and then their front court is just like two guys that can't catch the ball.
All right. You know what I say? We wrap up now. We do the last four at a different time because I'm out of it.
Okay.
Jonathan, take us home.
Threw me off guard there, Sam. If you came to hear about Tyler Self's job and where he's working, came to the right place. If you came to hear about, let me find a good one.
Entourage.
No, if you came to hear about Buffalo Wild Wings, you came to the right place. And if you came to hear about Caleb Grill and what he's up to, you came to the right place. This is season 5, episode 3 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers.
Special thanks. I'm allowed to say it like that.
Huh?
Only I'm allowed to say it like that.
Special thanks to UC Riverside head coach Mike Magpayo for joining us today. We will see you next time.